Look, let's be real for a second. Most top-tier lists you see are just paid advertisements disguised as expert advice. You watch, you buy, and 3 months later you realize you dropped $2,000 on a glorified paperweight that can't run steel case ammo. I am not here to sell you the hype. I am here to expose the hardware that actual shooters are hoarding in their safes while the internet argues about brands. I have unlocked the armory to bring you 12 9mm carbines that deliver pure performance. From the budget sleepers to the engineering marvels, these are the tools that run when it counts. Stop guessing. Let's get to work. Number 12. Kel-Tec Sub-2000 Gen 3. Listen, I know what the purists say about Kel-Tec. They call it plastic junk. They are wrong. This carbine is the undisputed king of concealment. The Gen 3 solves the one fatal flaw that plagued this platform for a decade. The old models forced you to choose between folding the gun or holding zero with an optic. You could not have both. The Gen 3 uses a brilliant rotating fore-end mechanism. You simply twist the handguard and the optic swings out of the way, allowing the barrel to fold back onto the stock. It snaps shut like a bear trap. Folded, it is barely 16 inches long. It disappears into a gym bag, a laptop case, or under a truck seat. It weighs just 4.2 pounds. It feeds from standard Glock magazines, meaning your sidearm and your primary weapon share the same fuel. Mechanically, it is a simple direct blowback system. It does not have a gas system or a buffer tube to absorb energy. This brings us to the deal breaker. The recoil is harsh. Because your cheek rests directly on the steel buffer tube, shooting this thing feels like getting punched in the jaw repeatedly. It is not comfortable. The trigger is heavy and feels plastic. But let's be honest, you do not buy this for comfort. You buy it because it delivers 16 inches of ballistics in a package smaller than a tennis racket. For a survival scenario or a truck gun, it stands alone. Number 11. Grand Power Stribog SP9A3. Here's the secret the big brands hate. You do not need to spend $3,000 to get roller-delayed perfection. The Stribog A3 gives you that smooth, soft shooting impulse for a fraction of the price. It features a roller-delayed blowback system. Unlike a standard blowback gun that relies on a heavy bolt to keep the action closed, this system uses rollers to mechanically delay the opening of the breech. This allows pressure to drop safely before the bolt moves. The result? The recoil feels like a polite tap on the shoulder rather than a kick. You can stay on target while dumping a magazine faster than you can blink. It is built from extruded aluminum, making it rugged and rigid. It comes with an 8-inch threaded barrel and flip-up sights. It feels dense, solid, and serious. But look, I have to be honest about the flaw: the magazines. The early straight magazines were notorious for cracking and failing to feed hollow points reliably. While the new curved magazines are better, they still do not feel as bomb-proof as a Glock or Colt magazine. Also, the short-stroke buffer can be picky with underpowered ammo. If you're willing to swap out the lower receiver for one that accepts Glock magazines, this gun becomes a beast. Without that upgrade, it's just a great range toy. Number 10. JP Enterprises GMR-15. Why does a $1,800 rifle sit at the bottom of this list? Because it is a race car,
not a daily driver. If you are not chasing split times on a competition stage, you just wasted your rent money on the wrong tool. This carbine is purpose-built for the United States Practical Shooting Association circuits. Under the hood, it runs a simple blowback system, but JP Enterprises worked some black magic here. They engineered a proprietary recoil impulse damping system that changes the physics of the gun. Instead of the bolt slamming back like a sledgehammer, it glides. It eliminates that twang noise you get in standard buffers and keeps the sights dead still. The trigger is a tuned instrument that breaks between 3.5 and 4 pounds. It snaps like a frozen branch. The 14.5-inch barrel weighs in at just 6.5 pounds, making it incredibly fast to transition between targets. But here's the deal breaker. It's a diva. This gun is tuned for high-performance matches, not for crawling through the mud. For home defense, it's overkill. You're paying for features that you will never exploit in the real world. Unless you're fighting a timer, there are smarter ways to spend your cash.
Number 9. Springfield Armory St. Victor. Springfield took their proven St. platform and asked one question: what if we chambered it in 9mm? The result is a 16-inch carbine that feels exactly like your duty rifle because, well, it basically is your duty rifle, just drinking cheaper ammo. Under the hood, it uses a direct blowback system. It features forged 70-75 T6 aluminum receivers and a chrome moly vanadium barrel with a 1 in 10 twist rate. The 16-inch barrel extracts every bit of velocity from the cartridge, pushing 124 grain loads to nearly 1,400 feet per second. That is rifle territory. Springfield includes their nickel boron-coated flat trigger, which offers a smooth, grit-free pull that breaks cleanly. The ergonomics are the real hook here. If you have trained on an AR-15, your muscle memory transfers instantly. But listen, I have to call out the flaw. The recoil impulse is snappy. Because it is a straight blowback design without a radial delay or gas system, that heavy bolt slams back hard. It kicks like an angry mule compared to the more expensive delayed systems. Also, at 6 pounds 2 ounces, it is not winning any light-weight contests. It's a workhorse, not a racehorse.
Number 8. Smith & Wesson M&P FPC. Here's what nobody tells you about truck guns. They need to actually fit in the truck. Most so-called compact rifles are just standard carbines with a shorter barrel. The FPC is different. It folds sideways to a compact 16.5 inches. That is shorter than most standard backpacks. In under 2 seconds, you snap it open and you have a full 30-inch carbine ready to do work. Under the hood, it runs a simple blowback action inside a proprietary folding chassis that locks up tight without any tools or fuss. The 16.25-inch barrel features a 1 in 10 twist rate, ensuring you stabilize heavy defensive loads properly. Unloaded, it hits the scale at 5 pounds 3 ounces, which is lighter than almost anything else in this class. Smith & Wesson designed this to share logistics with your sidearm. It accepts standard M&P pistol magazines. It comes with one 17-round flush mag and two 23-round extended mags right in the box. But let's talk about the annoyance, the recoil. Because it's a lightweight blowback gun, the physics are unavoidable. The kick is snappy and sharp. It will surprise you if you're expecting a soft shooter. Also, the trigger is purely duty grade. It feels mushy and functional, not crisp. This is not a precision instrument. It's an emergency tool designed to live under a seat until the world goes sideways.
Number 7. Ruger PC Carbine. The Ruger PC Carbine does something rare in firearms.
It gets better with age. While most manufacturers build a gun and walk away, Ruger built a system. This carbine features a tool-free takedown mechanism that literally breaks the gun in half. You push one recessed locking lever, twist the barrel assembly, and separate it from the action in under 10 seconds. It goes from a fighting rifle to a pile of parts that fits in a TSA-compliant travel case or a hiking pack. Mechanically, it uses a blowback operating system anchored in a rigid aluminum chassis. The chassis accepts M-LOK accessories, meaning you can mount lights and lasers exactly where you need them. But the real mechanical genius is the interchangeable magazine well. Ruger includes inserts for both Ruger SR series and Glock magazines right in the box. You're not stuck with proprietary plastic. The 16.12-inch barrel is fluted to shave off ounces and threaded for a muzzle device. Accuracy is dead nuts, holding sub-3-inch groups at 50 yards all day long. But here's the downside: weight. Unloaded, this rig sits at nearly 7 pounds. That's heavy for a pistol caliber carbine. It feels dense. Also, the stock trigger is disappointing. It breaks around 6 pounds with noticeable creep. It works, but it isn't winning any awards.
Number 6. Extar EP9. Here is the carbine that breaks every rule about price versus performance. The Extar EP9 costs $450. It weighs just over 4 pounds, and it runs Glock magazines. Let me say that again: 4 pounds, Glock mags, under $500. Most people think a polymer gun this cheap has to be garbage. They are wrong. Under the hood, it features a proprietary advanced recoil impulse damping system. This is not just a fancy name. It uses a spring-loaded mass separate from the bolt that absorbs the rearward energy. Instead of the bolt slamming into the back of the receiver like a hammer, it decelerates smoothly. The result is a recoil impulse that feels surprisingly soft. The 6.5-inch barrel comes threaded 1/2 by 28 for suppressors. Because Extar sells direct to consumer, you are not paying for distributor markups. But look, I have to be honest about the trade-off. It feels like a toy. The entire receiver is polymer. If you grab the mag well and twist, you can feel the flex. The trigger is mushy and feels like dragging a spoon through wet concrete. The controls are basic plastic. It is not a war-fighting weapon, but show me another carbine at this price point that runs this reliably. You can't.
Number 5. B&T APC9 Pro. Now let's cross the ocean to Swiss engineering. The B&T APC9 Pro does not compete on price, it competes on pedigree. This carbine sits in the armories of Special Forces units across Europe. The United States Army adopted the compact variant as their first new submachine gun contract since 1943. Let that sink in. Under the hood, B&T engineered a proprietary hydraulic buffer system. This is not a simple spring. It acts like a shock absorber on a trophy truck, delaying bolt velocity at the rear of the stroke without adding massive weight. It smooths out the violence of the action. The result is a recoil impulse that feels incredibly flat. It is not roller delayed, but it feels just as smooth. The 7-inch barrel is cold hammer forged and precise. The controls are fully ambidextrous, featuring non-reciprocating charging handles that fold flat against the receiver when not in use. This platform is a masterpiece, but wait until you see the gas piston king at number 1. That one changes the game entirely. But here's the reality check for the B&T, the price tag. You're looking at $2,500 to $3,000 depending on the configuration. And it gets worse. The proprietary magazines cost $60 each. Unless you buy the Glock lower version, feeding this beast will drain your wallet faster than the ammo will.
Number 4. CMMG Banshee. I know the blowback purists will hate this, but sound off in the comments if you really think a heavy buffer is better than actual engineering. CMMG solved a problem most shooters didn't know they had. Standard 9mm ARs have always been snappy, heavy, and loud because they rely on brute force physics. The Banshee changes the game with its radial delayed blowback system. Instead of using dead weight to keep the action closed, CMMG uses modified bolt lugs cut at 45 degrees. This geometry forces the bolt to rotate and unlock slowly, mechanically delaying the action just long enough for chamber pressure to drop. The result is a significantly lighter bolt carrier group and a recoil impulse that feels like a polite nudge rather than a punch. The 8-inch barrel variant weighs in at approximately 5.5 pounds. It feeds from Glock magazines, Colt pattern mags, or MP5 mags, depending on the lower receiver you choose. Suppressed performance is where this rig shines. Because the delayed action seals the breech longer, you don't get that face full of gas and unburnt powder that plagues direct blowback guns. But here is the catch. It is proprietary. You cannot just swap a standard AR-15 bolt or barrel into this upper. You are married to the CMMG ecosystem. If you break a bolt and they're out of stock, your primary weapon is dead in the water.
Number 3. PSA AKV. Entering the elite tier, this rig is raw power, but just wait until you see the gas piston perfection at number 1. The PSA AKV does something unthinkable. It makes the AK platform better in 9mm than it is in its native caliber. Palmetto State Armory reverse-engineered the Russian Vityaz submachine gun and produced an American version that cost $600. Under the hood, it features a simple blowback operation, but the real mechanical innovation here is the last round bolt hold open. Traditional AKs do not lock back when empty. You hear a click and you die. The AKV fixes this. When the magazine runs dry, the bolt locks back, speeding up your reload significantly. It feeds from CZ Scorpion Evo magazines. This is critical. You are not buying $60 proprietary mags. You are buying $20 mags that are available everywhere. The 10.5-inch barrel is nitrided for corrosion resistance and threaded 1/2 by 28. But here is the reality check. It is a blunt instrument. The accuracy holds 4-inch groups at 50 yards. It is not a tack driver. It is designed to spray lead into a target at close range. Also, the recoil is surprisingly heavy for a 9mm because that massive steel bolt carrier has to travel a long way. It is rugged, reliable, and fun, but it lacks refinement.
Number 2. Century Arms AP5. Closer to the crown. If you want AK reliability with German precision, look no further. The Century AP5 delivers legendary roller-delayed performance for $450 less than a Heckler & Koch SP5. Let me repeat that. Roller-delayed, $450 less. Manufactured by MKE in Turkey on licensed tooling, this carbine is not a knockoff. It uses the exact roller-delayed blowback system that made the MP5 an icon. Here is how it works. 2 steel rollers in the bolt head lock into recesses in the trunnion. When you fire, these rollers must be mechanically squeezed inward before the bolt can unlock, delaying extraction until pressure drops. The result is virtually zero felt recoil. It does not kick, it just vibrates. The 8.9-inch barrel sits inside a welded steel receiver that feels indestructible. Suppressed operation is whisper quiet because the delayed action manages back pressure more efficiently than any direct blowback gun on the market.
It runs on HK pattern magazines, which are widely available and reliable. But here's the truth about the flaws. First, the trigger. It's a typical military trigger. Heavy, long, and gritty. It's functional, but it's not refined. Second, these guns require a strict break-in period. You need to run 500 rounds of hot 124 grain ammo through it before it runs reliably with lighter loads. If you limp-wrist it during break-in, it will stovepipe.
Number 1. Sig Sauer MPX. You're probably thinking the roller delayed platform deserves the top spot. Here's why it does not. The Sig Sauer MPX takes the crown because it solves the physics problem that every other carbine on this list ignores. Unlike straight blowback or even delayed blowback designs, the MPX uses a true short-stroke gas piston system that is scaled specifically for 9mm. That means there's no heavy bolt slamming rearward to disrupt your sight picture. There's no sharp recoil impulse. It features a fully locked rotating bolt system similar to an AR-15. This mechanism handles high-pressure defensive loads far better than simple blowback actions. The result is a carbine that shoots flatter and faster than anything else in its class. The ergonomics mirror the AR-15 perfectly. Your muscle memory for safety selectors, magazine releases, and charging handles transfers seamlessly. It's the only gun on this list that feels like a true fighting rifle, not just a modified pistol. Suppressed performance is where it truly separates itself. The gas system limits the amount of gas blowing back into your face, which is a massive advantage over the competition. But here's the deal breaker. The price is painful. You're looking at $1,700 to $2,000 just to get in the door, and it doesn't stop there. The magazines are proprietary and expensive, costing nearly $70 a piece. It's not for the budget conscious, but if you want the absolute pinnacle of 9mm engineering, this is the benchmark. So, what's the secret they don't want you to know? It's simple. You don't need the most expensive platform to get world-class performance, but you do need the right mechanics for your mission. The industry pushes flagship models because the margins are higher. Informed shooters build arsenals around tools that actually work when the timer starts or when the door kicks in. Which one on this list surprised you the most? Are you running a sleeper that I missed? Drop your choice in the comments. I read every single one. Train hard, stay safe, and I'll see you downrange.